Everybody, Happy New Year. Welcome back to Too Much CGI, the show where we talk about all kinds of pop culture geekery, both retro and today. Did you like how I did that with my voice there, Scott? CGI.
A little over the top, but yeah, that fits.
I'm trying to get a job as a announcer announcing something, so I'm trying to be better with my voice.
Hey now!
Who knows who's listening, Scott? If you were a kid in the 80s, you're in our club. My name is Bill, here as always with Scott. How are you doing, buddy?
Hey, happy 2024.
Finally made it. Today was the day I went to work and I was like, all right, time to seriously think about my goals for the entire year. And it's something I do routinely. I don't know if you're a goal setter, but I set goals for each year and it feels great. I love doing it. Last year I hit all my goals. Today was a fun day for that.
Good to hear. What'd you get into for the holiday?
Amy had some people over from work, some people that you might know. Just hung out. It was very low key. The next day, New Year's Day, we went to Amy's family's house and just had a quick meal and very low key, just like I like it. What did you do? I know I didn't get an invite from you.
Well, what did I get into? I didn't get into much, actually. I was kind of not feeling too well, a little under the weather. But yesterday, I just laid on the sofa and binge watched What If and binge watched some YouTube videos and really nothing great for the holiday yesterday. My parents did invite us over for pork and kraut. It's a big Pennsylvania traditional thing. It's supposed to be good luck if you eat pork and kraut.
Yeah, we had that.
Yeah. When you said you went over to her parents' house, I was like, I'm sure you had pork and kraut. But yeah, I mean, New Year's Eve, we actually did Christmas with my in-laws because we didn't get together last weekend. And we were home by like 6 o'clock, played some games with the kids, ate some, I guess, like appetizer food, stuff like that, corn dogs and crab rangoon and all kinds of shit that you just buy at the frozen section and throw in the oven. And watch the ball drop. Kids had no problem staying awake. I was struggling. I was like dozing off here and there, but we watched the ball drop. I watched LL Cool J sing a song or two, and then we were probably in bed by like 12:20.
You know, I forgot all about the ball drop. I think I was awake for it. I'm just not even sure I was sober for it. Yeah, because I didn't go to bed till like 1:30.
Damn.
And I remember the entire next day was just me being exhausted because I had a couple drinks. I had about 3 or 4 tequilas. I like Cabo and Sprite now, my favorite drink.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes down so easy. And I almost never get hangovers from them, but tried to push it to 4.
You can do it!
And in the morning, I don't know if it was a hangover, but it was an exhaustion. It was my body saying, you dumb asshole, do you know that alcohol is poison? Because now I'm going to make you waste your time laying in bed while I heal you slowly.
Damn.
So I literally laid in bed until about 1, 2 o'clock on, New Year's Day.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, we got to watch some football on Sunday. Ugh. Fucking Eagles, man. I'm about done with that, but we're limping to the finish of the season here. I think it's going to be a quick out once we hit the playoffs.
Playoffs? Don't talk about it. Playoffs? You kidding me?
Yeah, that always drives me nuts when people say, your team is great, your team's going to be amazing. Wow, you got a great team this year. And then they just embarrass you, becoming the worst team of the damn league. I mean, they are playing like they just do not like each other. I don't even understand what's going on.
I don't know. Media's painting a picture and they're denying it, but
What's the media saying?
that Sirianni lost the locker room and there's infighting and there have been comments that like there's people on the team that just don't want to win. I think Jalen Hurts quoted that one. So who knows?
Well, that's enough to get you fired right away. The owner of the Eagles, and I know guys, this ain't a sports talk show, but the owner of the Eagles, Lori, like he had Doug Peterson in for 3 years? As soon as he won a Super Bowl, he was the greatest. In a year or two, he didn't win the next Super Bowl. He got fired. Like, whoa. This is a terrible business to work in.
I mean, to be fair, with the team that we have and the players that we have right now, and the amount of money they spent to get those players here, this should be a Super Bowl team.
It was supposed to be.
Sometimes the sum is not greater than its parts, you know?
It's funny that you said what you said about the media saying all those things. I was just talking to my partner about it today. I said, I'll bet you something's wrong in the organization. We just don't know it. And what you said is what I was kind of thinking. Because when you think about it, sports, it's a business.
Sure.
It's an organization. These guys are going to a job. These guys sit in classrooms. They get taught stuff, and that's their job. And they have to go out in the field and then execute what they were taught. Like, this is a real job. You don't always get along with everybody at your job. You don't always agree with your bosses at your job. So it's easy to let things go off the rails in any job. So it's easy to happen here too. And we never
Sure.
really think about it that way. And also, remember, most of these guys are young kids.
Yeah.
Like they're really not that emotionally mature yet.
I was just going to say, when you have a lot of like young people that are like the best in their field, there's a lot of ego. There's a lot of prima donnas. There's a lot of me, and not us, us, us. And I'm not saying exactly that's what's happening right now, but I'm just saying it's not an uncommon thing to see that happen.
Yeah. That's funny that you just reported that. I was saying it today. I'm like a soothsayer. A soothsayer.
So I hear what your holiday was. Is that what your holiday traditionally is? Like pretty low key like that? Or do you usually watch the ball drop? Do you not? Did you watch any mummers? What do you do typically?
Oh, the Mummers. The Mummers is a parade in Philadelphia that happens every New Year's. I did not watch it. I've had my fill of Mummers. Yeah, I literally, man, it's like I said last week with Christmas. The older I get, the less I want to be involved. And call me an old fart, call me a bore. I don't know. Just tired of the old, boring, same old shit. So,
Trying to break the rut, huh?
yeah.
I always feel like New Year's Eve and Christmas Day, and this year holds true. It's always overcast and gloomy and just gray. Like it's a
Yeah.
gray holiday for me. And like, it's not very motivating. So yesterday, aside from laying on the sofa and watching TV, we took down all the Christmas decorations. Here's something that your wife told me today. I have never heard of this before in my life.
What'd she say? Take them all, throw them in the trash, buy new ones next year?
No,
Yeah?
no. Good guess, though. No, she said that you're not supposed to do any cleaning of any kind or laundry or anything like that on New Year's Day. And I feel like all we did was finish up laundry and take down all the Christmas decorations and put them away and clean up the house. But apparently, I don't know if it's like a old wives' tale thing. You're not supposed to do any of that.
Yeah, who says that? Who?
I don't know. I don't know where she got it from. I asked no follow-up questions. It caught me off guard, though.
Huh?
My wife's amazing at that. She's got all these little things that she knows, and when I ask her how she knows them, she just knows them. So we'll see if this makes the show since she listens. But she one day told me, she's like, yeah, did you know you can hammer a copper nail into a tree and it'll kill it? And I'm listening to her going, I guess she knows something. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, that would be ridiculous. It's a wives' tale.
I've heard the same thing. I've never tried it.
We're going to have to test this one.
Well, don't do it on the 80-foot tree in my backyard. I don't want to crash my house.
I don't believe it's true at all. I mean, how many birdhouses have people hung on trees? They use a nail.
Bet you it's a tin nail, and or a steel nail, not a copper nail.
Well, she's good at knowing all that weird, random stuff. Like no cleaning on New Year's Eve.
New Year's Day.
Or New Year's Day, yeah. What do they say about sleeping in on New Year's Day? Because that's what I did.
I think that's what everybody does. It got to be a PA Dutch thing, though. It got to be like a working class, don't do anything, just eat pork and kraut, have family over. That sounds like a traditional Pennsylvania thing.
I think it is. It's more a Dutchy thing in our part of PA because out of Philadelphia, that's not what we ate.
Right.
So I didn't start eating pork and kraut, sauerkraut. I don't think I've ever eaten sauerkraut until I came to this part of Pennsylvania. And every New Year's Eve, it's pork and sauerkraut, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, it is. And going back to the Mummers, Jenna's a huge fan of the Mummers. But around 8 o'clock last night, she looked at me, she goes, oh shit, I didn't watch any of the Mummers this year. And I was like, yeah, I kind of forgot about them. And she was like, yeah, I kind of did too. And oh well. So it wasn't like a hugely missed thing in our household.
So my sister lives right where the Mummers kick off in Philadelphia. And she says sometimes she will go look out at 5 a.m. and there's already people pissing and puking on the side of her house. Like, they're disgusting people. And they're so drunk and fucked up.
My dad called and told me he tuned in for like maybe 5 minutes. And he was like, they were already falling down drunk and obviously like belligerent. So he was like, I've seen enough. I change a channel.
That's all great when you're a kid. You have no idea they're drunk. You just think they're acting like buffoons. You get older, you realize they are buffoons.
Exactly. Of course, another big tradition that's probably nationwide, not so regional to us, but how about college football and the bowl games? Do you get into any of that?
I never did. As much as I love the NFL, as much as I especially love the Eagles, never got into college. Always missed the boat on college.
I have a hard time with college football, and I think it's just because there's so many conferences and so many teams. And I did watch some bowl games this weekend. And like the one game I watched, it was like Georgia versus Florida State. Georgia won 63-3. It was, I think, 47-3 at halftime. These are two teams that should never be playing each other. And the crazy thing was, like, Florida State was undefeated 13-0, and Georgia had a record of like 12-1. So I guess that's how they just arbitrarily matched them up to play in this bowl game. Like, clearly it shows that Florida's 13-0 because they beat 13 shitty teams because they faced this one and they were fucking anemic. They couldn't do a thing. I'm like, this is why I don't like college football. Like, it's just too arbitrary. It's not as cut and dry as, you play into a playoff system and then here you go. It's just like, oh, we're going to set these teams into a bowl game just because of records that really are apples to oranges and really just no equivalency between schedules or anything else.
In hindsight, you know where I think we really dropped the ball? When basketballs came out. We should have made that a national sport.
I agree. Love that movie.
Those cheers you're hearing from the nearly 15,000 on hand here for Anal Probe Night.
Was it Chota Boy in that one?
Chodo Boy.
Was that the other one, Orgasmo?
That was Orgasmo and Chodo Boy, but the same guy was an actor in there.
Oh, shit. Before we go any further, I gotta give you my WTF segment. What the fuck?
All right.
Did you hear about this new movie based on the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse? You've heard it.
Yeah, in fact, there's more than one. There's actually, I think, two that are one's already out, the other's in the works, or their trailer's out or whatever. Yeah, Steamboat Willie is now part of public domain, much like Winnie the Pooh was that we talked about not earlier this year, last year, I have to say now. Yeah, he's now going to be a slasher movie.
So with this happening, Steamboat Willie's version of Mickey Mouse becoming public domain, anybody can do anything they want with it now.
Yes.
With some reason. You can't, I don't know. You know what? You can make porn parodies. I don't know what you can't do, but they say there's some things you can't do. But these guys must have been like, look at this. Mickey Mouse comes up on copyright, or off copyright, I guess you say.
Yeah.
Next year, let's start putting together a shitty horror movie. Here's what I'm saying. I looked at the trailer, and not only do I want less of this murder porn bullshit, which is so stupid and cheap and ugly and just not even thoughtful storytelling anymore, I looked at it and I said, that's not the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse. That's the 1980s Mickey Mouse with the curled smile and the peachy skin. This isn't the black and white Steamboat Willie. I suspect they heard Mickey Mouse is up. Not Steamboat Willie is up.
Just the black and white Steamboat Willie, like the brand new one that they have, they call Pie-Eyed Mickey because he has like the pie slices out of his eye pupil. Like that's the art style. He's still owned by Disney. The 80s style you mentioned, he's still owned by Disney. Like everything except for the Steamboat Willie animation style of Mickey Mouse. That's the only one that's gone public domain.
Yeah. Well, I would love if it's true and this this movie gets sued by Walt Disney because they actually did the wrong version of Mickey Mouse. Oh,
that would be so crazy. I saw some stills, though. It looked like it was black and white. He's holding like a giant butcher knife.
All right. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he was only looking peachy and red because he was covered in blood. I don't know.
Could be. But I think he's holding a Ginsu knife, so that's very much 80s.
Yeah. But that's the thing with these horror movies. People love to make them because they're cheap, they're easy, they're more fun to make than watch, in my opinion, but they're quick and dirty.
Yeah.
So something like this could have been whipped together in a couple months with $20,000 and it goes on streaming, gets press all around the country and may just be a turd. But it's getting the press. It's huge for them.
Yeah, and I may have even said to you, this has nothing to do about good storytelling, or this is why horror movies and slasher movies get such a bad rep, right? Like, there's nothing good about this. They're only using these characters for shock value to try and draw people in and see what this is about. But this is not to draw people in with, any kind of alluring story or any kind of character building, or this is just schlocky bullshit.
Yeah, just a cheap cash grab. That's it.
Yep.
Hate this stuff.
Yep.
Oh, hiya, pal.
Well, hey there, Mick. Wait, you're not Mickey.
Well, I was watching a news article that was talking about the Mickey Mouse thing happening. And the article said, coming up soon, Batman and Superman come out of copyright.
Really?
So I guess somebody could theoretically make a Batman horror movie and a Superman horror movie now.
Yeah, it's probably going to be DC because they have 18 different fucking versions of Batman going on right now.
Yo, have you ever seen that James Gunn movie called Brightburn?
I've never seen it, but I'm aware of it.
That's basically a Superman is a killer type of movie. The kid is, and it's like the kid is a kid of some family. They found him. He's some alien, and he's an asshole kid.
Yeah.
And he finds out he has these superpowers, and he's just murdering people. And it's sometimes James Gunn does the superhero stuff that we love, but sometimes back in the day, he used to work for Troma.
Yeah.
And he's made movies like Slither and some other really gruesome fucking horror. This is a gruesome one.
I mean, isn't The Boys kind of like what if superheroes were bad?
Oh, that's true. Which I watched The Boys. I don't know why that didn't pop into my head. Yeah, that's a perfect example.
So that's interesting. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like anything that's public domain, the first thing is going to be a slasher movie. They did it with The Grinch, too. The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. He became public domain last year. I think Winnie the Pooh got more coverage because of it being Disney, but yeah, they made a Grinch movie. The same people that are making the Steamboat Willie also made a Grinch.
I think I remember seeing something, and it's the Grinch, like the Jim Carrey Grinch, too. It's not even...
Oh, really? I just figured it would have been the animated one. But they look so much alike.
Yeah, so it probably was. They're probably going to say in court, it was the animated one. Well, it looks like Jim Carrey. Well, you can't sue me for being talentless and being bad at making costumes, can you?
Yeah, because I'm sure Universal still owns the Jim Carrey rights because they still break that out every Christmas time down in their parks and stuff.
Well, I saw this in the news today, the thing we're talking about. And then I saw about an hour later, I'm just looking around online. Guess what? They're making a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. So they're already making a sequel to that.
Of course they are. I mean, why wouldn't they cash in on this timing?
Yeah, I would. But that got me thinking. I was thinking about sequels. What kind of sequels will we be getting in 2024? So I put together surprise game. A surprise game, a very quick surprise game where, Scott, I'm going to read you a list of sequels that are actually coming out next year. However, 3 of them are bullshit.
Okay.
All right, so I just gave you Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. What about Dune, Part 2?
Yes, that's coming out.
How about Deadpool 3?
Supposedly that's coming out, yes.
That's actually still filming. They've got some leaks,
Yeah.
like set leaks. I'm staying the hell away from them because I love Deadpool and I don't want to be spoiled.
I've seen the yellow and blue Wolverine costume. I've seen that from set, but that was even back during the strike or pre-strike even.
How about Twisters?
Twisters? Like a sequel to Twister?
Yeah.
No.
You think that's the fake one?
I think that's, you said there's 3 fake ones, right?
There's 3 fake ones. You putting that down as a
I
faker?
think this is one of them. I'm going to mark this as a fake one.
Okay. How about Kung Fu Panda 4?
Yes.
How about Beetlejuice 2?
Yes.
Inside Out 2, the Pixar movie.
No.
That's your no?
I'm going to say that's a fake one.
All right. How about Bad Boys 4?
I think that already came out.
Did it?
I know they made a sequel to the one that came out like 20-some years ago.
How about Bad
Maybe
Boys
that was
5?
I'm going to say that's fake.
All right. How about Galaxy Quest 2?
I've heard people talking about this. Yes.
Sonic the Hedgehog 3?
Oh, man. I haven't heard anything about it, but I'd imagine with it being animated, it would already have to be in the works. I already said no to 3, so either one of my ones I already said no to is true, or this one has to be true. I'm going to say this one is false.
How about Step Brothers 2? Remember that movie, Will Ferrell and the other guy who nobody remembers his name, but everybody knows who he is?
John C. Reilly. What are you talking about? I want to say true.
John C. Riley, isn't that the guy that used to throw the stuff in the air and go, "Hello, Frisco"?
Well, no. First of all, the guy you're thinking of, name-wise, is Charles C. Riley.
Oh,
And I think the guy that you are imitating is Rip Van Winkle or Rip. What the fuck is his name?
Rip Torn?
No, not
It
Rip
ain't Rip
Torn. Fuck, he was in Wayne's World 2.
Yeah, we're going to Google. Rip Taylor. Huh,
Rip Taylor.
I don't know
Okay.
what the hell I was thinking.
But Charles C. Riley's who you're thinking of from like Match Game and shit like that.
Yeah.
Is Step Brothers 2 coming out? I'd love to say yes, but I haven't heard anything about it.
How about Alien Romulus? So a movie.
Yes.
Yeah. We've even talked about that. Gladiator 2?
Yes.
Ghostbusters Frozen Empire?
Yeah, definitely.
Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Empire?
I don't know if that's the name, but there's the one where we have Pink Godzilla.
Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes of the Empire?
I'm going to say no, but that would be exactly how they name it.
Yeah. Furiosa, a Mad Max sequel.
Definitely.
I'm kind of excited about this. I like Mad Max stuff.
Yeah, and it's going to be that Anya Taylor-Joy. Isn't that her name?
Yeah, so she plays a young version of Furiosa,
Furiosa.
who was played by, what's her name?
Charlize Theron.
So why didn't they just get her back?
I don't know.
How about Up 2? Pixar movie, Up.
I'll say yes.
Beverly Hills Cop Axel F. Talked about that. So
Yes.
That's a gimme. Despicable Me 4.
Sure. Yes.
And the last one here is Venom 3.
I want to say no, but I'll say no to that one.
All right. Are you able to tell me which ones? Because I didn't write it down.
Tell me which one. I know which ones I said no to, and I said no to more than 3, so I know I'm wrong on several of them, but tell me which ones are fake.
All right. The fake ones that are bullshit.
Bullshit.
Galaxy Quest 2.
I've heard that talked about, though. That was, I think Tim Allen and Sigourney Weaver were both talking about that.
I think they talked about making it a show. They tried different things. People like that movie. I like that
Yeah,
movie.
I
It's a
liked
good
it.
movie.
Sure.
So that's why I thought that would be a good one to fuck you all with.
Well, you got me on that one.
Step Brothers 2.
Yeah, I didn't think that was real.
People would love it.
Well, like I said last week's show, it wouldn't be that far of a reach, seeing as how Will Ferrell's been playing the exact same character for the past 15 years.
Yeah, that's why I was thinking he needs something different. I'm surprised he hasn't gone back to a sequel. Like, he's really floundering out there, isn't he?
My favorite Will Ferrell movie is The Other Guys with him and Mark Wahlberg.
Nope.
There's no way that's your favorite movie. That movie was awful.
No, I loved it.
Really?
Loved it.
With Mark Wahlberg. This is my Mark Wahlberg impression. Isn't it good?
I knew it was coming up. No, that's my favorite. I love how Mark Wahlberg plays the psychopath and Will Ferrell plays the straight guy.
Gators bitches better be using Jimmy's.
I'll have to give it another shot.
And Michael Keaton was in there as their police chief, but he also worked part-time at Bed Bath Beyond as a store manager. It was so fucking good.
I don't
There were
remember.
so many good parts of it.
All right, well, the third fake movie was Up 2. I was like, didn't that old man die? Like, how could there be an Up 2? Let me try to slip this one by you.
It started off so fucking depressing with his wife dying and like him just growing up old and sad and missing her. And then I was like, maybe they'll do a sequel with Doug and Russell, the kid and the dog. I thought maybe, but I don't think I got any of them right. So the ones I said no to are actually coming out. There's no way Bad Boys sequel's coming out.
That's what I read, yeah. It's
God.
on the internet. It's on the
So
net.
you know it's true.
It's on the web.
Do I see some fuck-upperies coming next week?
Yeah, it might be. I'm not even going to correct myself. I just want to make the audience work and write in that I fucked up.
Hey, the way Hollywood works, you might be right this week and wrong next week, and it's no wrongdoing of your own.
That's right. I got to admit, I'm also excited for Godzilla vs. Kong. I've been watching tons of Godzilla. I actually went back and watched 3 of the Godzilla movies again.
And what's the official name? Godzilla vs. Kong, The New Legacy?
The New Empire.
The New Empire.
Yeah, so Ghostbusters is the Frozen Empire. Kong is the New Empire. Dumb names. But yeah, that Apple Plus show I told you guys that I was really enjoying is great. I'm still loving it. And it's made me want to go back and try to like connect the dots with the other movies. Everything that happens ties back somehow. They're just making a world just like Ghostbusters is, just like Marvel did. It's just another one of those type of things.
And it definitely connects, because I thought we weren't sure if it connected or how it connected, or if they were different universes or how this worked.
All the same. So I didn't know that because I could barely remember the movies the first time I saw them. They just didn't connect with me. I remember the first Godzilla came out and it was great. Took a while for Godzilla to get there. He was kind of only in the end. And then you were like, whoa, you really left me wanting more. And the second one was King of the Monsters. And now there's a bazillion Titans. The entire Earth is destroyed. I hate that shit. That's that Armageddon stuff,
Yeah.
Volcano and Dante's Peak and all these things and day before, after tomorrow, whatever. I hate when they do that. So after that, then it's King Kong versus Godzilla. How is there anything left, right? But now there's still cities for them to trample.
Right.
So this is going to be King Kong versus Godzilla 2, and I'm not even sure we need one of these, but let's see what we get. I'm in.
Yeah.
They timed it great with that TV show, and the show is good.
So you wrapped up that whole Apple Plus series there, Monarch?
It's still going.
Still go.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a weekly release, or do they dump it all at once?
No, it's weekly, every Friday. That's the worst time to drop something. By Friday, you're done with work. You're ready to get into the weekend. You're not thinking about TV. At least I'm not.
Yeah. Well, what else are you watching aside from Monarch?
Pretty much that, the same YouTube nonsense.
Yeah, guilty. I watched some great YouTube videos about like behind the scenes stuff, similar to what you did with Gremlins. I saw like a couple hour and a half long documentary type things with Back to the Future, like the first Back to the Future, like watching Secret Galaxy and watching some other people. Yeah, I actually learned some things I didn't know. Good stuff, man. Pass the time. And when you're laying sick on the sofa, sometimes all you can do is sit and watch television. I started watching, on your recommendation, I started binging What If.
Okay.
Now, to say I watched it, it was on the television. I paid very close attention to some episodes. I may have dozed off on other episodes, but it was on the TV, and I have some initial thoughts to pick up where you were talking about last week.
All right. Where'd we leave off last week? We talked about the new character they introduced.
Yes.
Kahora?
You know what? I probably saw her, but not enough to pay much attention to her. What stood out to me were the characters that I knew. I know last week we were talking about like characters of, one thing you shared was that, like I shared for season one thing I didn't like was, why did they take T'Challa and say like, what if T'Challa became Star-Lord? And you said, well, it gets worse than that. This season, it's like, what if Nebula joins the Nova Corps? I don't know her and I don't know the Nova Corps. I actually didn't hate the Nebula Nova Corps episode. I thought that was done kind of well. Not that I cared about the characters going into it, and I really hate the way that they voiced Nebula in the movies and again in this cartoon. I hate the way she talks, her whole delivery. I get it, she's a cyborg, whatever. But
wasn't that the real actress from the movie?
It was her name like Karen Gilliam or something,
Yeah,
or
something like that.
Gillian, something like that. Yeah, I think it was actually her. So I didn't hate that. So you kind of set that up, and I was like, oh, I don't give a shit about them. But I'm surprised I didn't hate it. Some other initial thoughts. I really like seeing Korg, and I really like seeing Jeff Goldblum as the Grand Master again. They had some great roles. Taika Waititi as Korg, I mean, just as funny as what he was in Ragnarok. I thought he had some great lines he threw in there.
But that one was fan service all the way. And that's what this show is about, I think.
Yes.
So I love Ragnarok, and I love Iron Man, and seeing Iron Man in there, and whoever's doing the voice of Tony Stark, the voice actor, because they didn't get they didn't get Morton Downey Jr., but they seem to have been able to get everybody else except Robert Downey Jr. and Scarlett Johansson.
Right. Yeah, I actually had a question here. Like, didn't you enjoy seeing more Tony Stark? Didn't you really enjoy seeing more Tony Stark and Iron Man? And yeah, Morton Downey Jr. didn't do the voice. It was a guy by the name of Mick Wingert. He does a good job.
I liked it, but it's, they're taking a lot of liberties with the storytelling here. Like he all of a sudden goes to this planet with nothing. In the Middle East, he made a iron machine to get him out, but here he's making like giant, apparatuses that can do amazing things. And
He
it's like,
made
all
a
right.
suit that became a race car. And then he made
Right.
it was crazy. He made his own Hulkbuster gear again because he showed up with nothing, but now I guess he's a genius, as they say. But yeah, Jeff Goldblum's character, the Grandmaster, just as aloof and, narcissistic and self-serving and just hilarious.
Would you agree with me that these guys, most of these actors, they cannot read good for these cartoons?
One thing I have to say, and it's been happening to video and it's been happening to anything that's edited. Like, since editing this show, I notice edits more and more and more on everything I watch and listen to. And it's just like, oh, that was clearly an edit. Like, clearly they put together like 5 sentences to come up with one sentence there. Like, it's very clear that they're just trying to take the best take. I think last weekend, Jenna watched that Taylor Swift Eras video. And I was like, that wasn't a single take. That wasn't like it was a live concert. That thing was edited to shit. And like,
Yeah.
to your point, these guys not being able to read well, I would hate to have to edit together their lines.
Yeah, because you got to make them look good, but they get up there like, look out, here comes Thanos. It's like, oh my God, you're so good in the movie. Why can't yeah? They go to that Sebastian Stan. I'm not even sure the guy can read. Like he's doing the worst of all of them.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's because like they're not fully doing their art. I guess there's more to acting than just reading lines.
Well, I wasn't a big fan of it this time. Last year, it got me. I was like, some of them were dogs, but some of them were amazing. None of these, except for the Iron Man one, did I even remember. And it ends in a way that I just, didn't go the way I wanted. But I think there's still a lot of value in it for people. But yeah, I was a little disappointed.
I was surprised. I thought there was some self-depreciating Marvel humor in there. Did you pick up on any of that?
In the way like She-Hulk did it?
No, this was more like Korg says they threaten to, I guess Gamora and Korg are explaining to Tony Stark that like, if you cross the Grand Master, you're going to be dead. And Korg's like, but like real dead, like permanently dead. Which I thought was funny because, as you and I have joked about on here quite a bit, no one's ever really dead. Like the fact that death has no meaning and there's no emotional payoff or anything for anything they do in the MCU anymore. I really felt that they were kind of poking fun at like, no, you'll really be dead now. Because like really right now in the current timeline, Tony Stark's dead.
Yeah, and they even said, Kevin Feige, somebody asked him, said, are you going to bring back Robert Downey Jr.? He goes, no, we're going to leave that moment right where it was. It was a perfect ending to Iron Man.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a fucking smart decision there, Kevin
Yes.
Feige.
You would piss off a lot of people if you walked back on that. Be pissing off many.
Yeah. People would be like, this is the most desperate move ever.
Well, they jumped the shark finally, if they haven't already.
Yeah. Oof. The other thing, too, it's like, how do I say this? I'm frustrated with Marvel trying to make everything for everybody all at once. And it's obviously, it's clear to me that's why they failed. You can make your Marvel's show. You can have 3 women in it. You can target it for women, and sure, many men will watch it. You can have them. But there's too many things where nothing is like it used to be. Everything is now the first 10 years plus all this other ingredient. And I don't want the other ingredients. I think it's too political what they're doing. It's too just not storytelling. It's too agenda driven. When I say political, I mean agenda driven. They're not doing what they did the first 10 years when they won the audience. Now it's taken them 10 years to lose the audience.
To speak of political commentary, did you catch if there was some actually legitimate political commentary in the show?
I probably zoned right over it.
So, and I know I'm focusing on this Iron Man episode where it's Iron Man and Korg and the Grandmaster, but I think it probably was my favorite. I think it's like episode 4, episode 5. But Iron Man lands on the Grandmaster's planet and he runs into Korg and he's like, so who is this Grandmaster? Like, oh, he's very evil. He's like, how evil is he? Did he like gerrymander all the districts? Which to me sounds like a very straightforward jab at Republicans who are accused of gerrymandering districts in right now Atlanta, where they're having all these redistrict rezoning things because of places being gerrymandered to win votes. And Korg replies, no, he's not that evil. So it seems like there was very much a political statement in there. And maybe I'm reading too deep, but I don't think so. How else could that be taken?
No, the people they hired to run these the Marvel Cinematic Universe really believe the things that you just heard them say, and it's okay. You can believe it. People, I'm moderate. I'm right in the middle. I don't get offended on either side, but don't make my shows about politics. Keep it out. I want good comic book stories.
Right. And just thinking about our show here, like we go out of our way to try and keep politics out of any news stories or any main segments or anything. Like draw your own conclusion. I think we said before, like we'll draw the lines and you can color it in as you want. Like we're not here to sway somebody one way or the other, and we go out of our way. I'm surprised Disney is so blatantly, maybe just Marvel, but sure Disney as well, is so blatantly like taking these jabs in there where they're really just filler dialogue. It's not part of the story or anything like that. It's just a way to, and maybe it's reactionary to the whole Disney versus DeSantis thing, or who the hell knows what it's stemming from, but it's very clearly there, and I'm surprised they're that obvious about it.
I do remember reading a story about somebody who made the point that it's their job in Disney, it's their purpose, their moral purpose in Disney to make sure there is a gay character in everything.
Yeah.
And Disney said, no. We can't pull that off in China.
That's true.
And it was a huge issue inside the company. So yes, there were important people or powerful people or squeaky wheels that made this kind of stuff happen in Disney. And that's why a lot of people are saying go woke, go broke. And maybe that is true, but you lost focus.
Well, let me spin out of that into something that I say can't be politicized. Everything's politicized these days, but I don't think this next one should be. The 2023 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction show was last night on ABC.
Oh, that's another crock of shit. That's political.
I don't think it should be, and I'll tell you why. I think music, there's different types of music for all different types of people, and I believe that you can pick and choose what you want to listen to and what speaks to you, and you don't have to ever even touch the other stuff. So if you think it's political because of people got inducted that shouldn't be there, I don't know that I agree or disagree. I think that artist may have reached people. I don't know who votes for this. I think probably the Hall of Fame takes a whole cross section of people and tries to get as many people as they can to come out and visit Cleveland and watch their show on ABC to sell all their fucking commercials that they had on television last night. But I think that they had some, I'll tell you this, regardless of who the person is or how popular they were, how famous they were, how much I knew or didn't know about them, the people that come out and present them and actually induct them, who's usually another artist, they do a hell of a good talk up to make it seem like absolutely that person belongs here.
Yeah. I don't actually know who got inducted this time. And when I say it's political, I don't mean like Biden versus Trump. I mean political, like there's nonsense, there's red tape, there's, that kind of thing. Okay. So there's stuff going on about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that tons and tons of music fans hate them for. That's the political, and I don't actually know everything about it, so I don't want to say too much, but apparently it's nonsense inside that company called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Well, I'll share what I know. So last night's inductees were Kate Bush, Sheryl Crow, Missy Elliott, George Michael, Shaka Khan, Bernie Taupin, Don Cornelius, and then I think probably maybe the most deserving, I can't say the most deserving, but the ones that meant the most to me, Willie Nelson, the Spinners, Philadelphia's own Spinners, and Rage Against the Machine.
Kate Bush? What?
I think, and Jenna said to me, if it weren't for Stranger Things, would Kate Bush even be on the radar to be inducted into the Hall of Fame? And I said probably not, because a large part of her induction speech, which was done by Big Boy from Outkast, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson. He actually talked about Stranger Things and how she's now, her music transcended decades, but only because it was put on the soundtrack of one of the most popular shows of the time, right?
Who was the person at Big Boy?
Big Boy from Outkast. Yeah.
Where's he been? Why is he the biggest name they could get? This is kind of like the New Year's Eve specials. It's like, oh, what artists do we have coming up? And they're like, that was John Smith. I've never heard of John Smith. This is the biggest show going right now. It's the New Year's Eve show, and you can't get an artist I've heard of.
Well, here's one for you. And this brought back a memory that you and I shared. When Sheryl Crow was on last night, and Sheryl Crow came out, she was inducted, but then she also did a duet. She sang Crazy with Willie Nelson. She sang the Loretta Lynn part.
That probably sounded good.
Yeah. Do you remember when you and I were interrupted by a Sheryl Crow concert while in Philadelphia while we were playing Rock Band to a crowd of hundreds?
We
Do you remember
we
this?
had them mesmerized. We were performing for everybody in front of the Philadelphia Art Museum. In my memory, there were millions of people watching us play Rock Band.
Yes. It was you, Jenna, and I. And I don't even know what song we were playing. I think it was like Beastie Boys, maybe.
Why was there Rock Band? And why was there a stage? Because this was a major event happening, but we were stealing audience.
It was because Ford Motor Company had a thing there where you can go and play games and do different activities. As long as you sold them your identity with your email address and everything, they can bombard you for the next forever. And we waited in line to play Rock Band. It was 4th of July.
Yeah, I think it was 4th of July.
It was definitely 4th of July.
Was it Elton John there too?
No, it was Sheryl Crow and somebody else who I don't remember. But anyway, we were playing on Rock Band. We waited in line for probably a half hour to get up there and play. You and I played quite a bit back in the day. Me, definitely more than you. But next thing you know, the Sheryl Crow concert starts. And they just cut our mics and we're just jamming around on a plastic guitar, making no noise. We got cut the fuck off, man.
I was kidding about there being lots of people watching us. Nobody was really watching us, but everybody was listening to our nonsense as they walked past.
But she upstaged us, but I guess it's okay because now she's in Cleveland's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
I like her. You know, she used to be a backup singer for Michael Jackson and a bunch of people.
Yeah, she's a fantastic vocalist, man. Like she was spot on. I will say, I think Loretta Lynn sang that song better than she did, but you can't knock the original, you know? Plus, recording software wasn't as good back then, so maybe if Cheryl was a little pitchy, was what it was. George Michael, I mentioned he was inducted. Carrie Underwood came out and sang one of his songs, and I gotta say, George did it better. And then, of course, Elton John came out and he inducted Bernie Taupin. I mean, they've been musical partners for the past 40, 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, look, they had to open up the doors a little bit wider, getting Don Cornelius. Wasn't he like the host of Solid Gold or Soul Train? Yeah, so pretty soon they're going to have like every DJ is going to... Howard Stern will probably make it in there one day for his contributions to music. Maybe. I wish they just kept it the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and started other Hall of Fames, but they didn't. And the fact that they're putting in Willie Nelson this late...
I was just going to say, how is this the year for Willie Nelson? The dude's 90. He's been making music since he was 7, they said. That's insane.
Incredible songs that other people still to this day play all the time. That's dumb. Like, that shows you they don't know what they're doing.
Exactly.
And Kate Bush, she came out when I was young. Yeah. I remember all the Cure and all the things and all, everybody was into everything but Kate Bush. Nobody knew Kate Bush.
Well, New Edition came out. They did some excellent Spinners tribute songs. Rubber Band Man and...
New Edition. Isn't that got Bobby Brown in it? Is he alive?
Yeah, I think he's still alive. I don't know if he was part of it. I couldn't tell you. I don't know. They didn't introduce each one. But you mentioned controversy. The only member of Rage Against the Machine to accept the award, Tom Morello. And in his acceptance speech shared that Rage, much like any other band, has their agreements and their disagreements. And one of their disagreements is whether or not they should accept the induction of being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I'm guessing he was saying that, Brad and Zach De La Rocha and I forget the drummer's name. But anyway, I guess he's the only one that felt that. He said, I feel like we should do this for the 5th member of Rage, which is our fans who've supported us over the years at all the shows and all the festivals, and he really played it up to the people. And, Rage is about more than just the music. It's about the message, and you can use art to move people, to make changes in the world. And
this sounds like it's going to be a future divorce like Hall & Oates.
Maybe.
You better not go on that show. You better not represent us on that damn rock and roll. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get a PFA against you. What did they get?
A PFA, yeah. You're absolutely right. I'm
going to get a PFA. But that Tom Morello, you can tell that guy likes to be on TV. He likes to talk. He likes the attention. So, he was all about being up there talking to everybody.
Dude, I think one time he did the Bill Maher show like 4 weeks straight. Like he loves getting on there and talking politics, talking agenda, talking change, talking social climate, talking social injustices. I mean, he's passionate about it. Like I say, he's a hell of a speaker.
Were you inspired after seeing him last night?
I think I dozed off.
What an inspiration, that Tom Morello. Help me get to bed.
I'm not a revolutionary. I'm definitely more of a middle of the road kind of guy.
Change his name to Tom Melatonin.
Here's something I've been wondering all week. Have you gotten any mailbag with any listeners' scores from last week's ethics quiz?
No, since I closed the Twitter that nobody was ever using, I still didn't get anything from anybody through Twitter. And nothing came through the email. So, no. Maybe it didn't take off. Maybe everybody was ashamed.
Well, that could be. I heard from 2 people that were brave enough to fess up. Well, actually, it was one person that fessed up, and then he also dimed out his wife. But Brother Rob, who is a big fan of Christmas decorations I've talked about on previous episodes, Brother Rob got back to me saying that he scored an 11, and Sister Trish, his wife, scored a 12. And part of it may have been he's just trying to brag that he's not as bad as she is, but he said it was a great segment, keep up the good work, and he was very glad it wasn't a worse score than what it was.
So you're still the best, and I'm still the worst. I was a 15, you were a 5.
Yes, Bill, you and I will bookend the population.
That's right. You all live in our fuzzy middle.
Still eagerly looking to hear from more listeners to play along. I know it's been a busy few weeks with the holidays, but when you get a chance, hit us up. One other thing I thought of while we were away from each other in the show here, my son got a gift for Christmas. And I think it rings true with things we talk about on here quite a bit on the show. He got a game called Pictionary, which sounds pretty tame, but this is Pictionary versus AI. So in this game, you download the app. There are dry erase boards. You grab a card. You draw. Everybody draws whatever's on like their card. Like I drew an alligator. And you put it up in this card holder and you scan it. And then the phone, AI, will try and guess what it is. And for all the people that are afraid of AI taking over the world, don't worry about it. AI is fucking dumb. I drew possibly the best flower you could ever see in your life, and it guessed that it was a hedgehog.
What did you give the flower, like running trails, like making it run, and it thought it was Sonic the Hedgehog? How could it get a flower wrong?
I don't know. And it was very easy. Jenna had to draw a squirrel. She drew what could only be described as a goofy-looking inchworm with a smiley face. And part of the game is each player puts in yes or no whether or not AI is going to guess it right. So I was like, well, if it couldn't get a flower right, there's no way it's going to get this goofy fucking squirrel right. Within seconds, do I see a squirrel? I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? So
wow, your favorite.
Of all the squirrel, right? But of all the AI fear that you may have heard from us and people losing jobs, if it ever comes down to being an art curator or an art director at a museum, AI doesn't have anything on a human being.
It's at the point I always tell people who are afraid of it. It's not creative. It's the world's greatest correlator. It just takes what it sees and says, this is what I think I was trained on, and this is what I believe this is. Nope, not right. Sorry, I'm trained on too much data, and it's still all over the place. But one day, I do think it's going to get tighter. I'll bet you it'll get better. I
was thinking maybe there's like a learning algorithm in here, and like the more we play, the more it's going to know like who's drawing what, the more it's going to maybe even just, and look, the app has to know what these cards say. And just by process of elimination, as one gets taken out, the other gets taken out, it's going to, narrow down the pool of what it can guess. But I swear, man, the more we played, the dumber it got.
I saw an app my sister-in-law was using. She's got her house, and then you can kind of say, here is where I want to see what a grandfather clock would look like. For example, she wanted to see what her house would look like with a flower bed. Well, I got that all wrong. The whole lawn was full of flowers. Like it's not quite there yet.
Right.
But for a full lawn full of flowers, it looked very real. It looked at least as real as a matte painting that you would see in the background of our fantasy movies. That's amazing. It happens like that.
Yeah.
It's incredible technology.
All right. Well, Pictionary, Mattel, maybe Parker Brothers. I don't know. You have a few upgrades to do to a Pictionary versus AI. I'm not impressed.
It's a little fast to be selling that too, as a revolutionary product that you have to pay money for when it's not quite done.
It's also called Pictionary versus AI for kids. Maybe they're expecting simpler photos. Maybe I'm being too detailed. I don't know.
Yeah. And for all you out there, Scott hates squirrels. And I can't tell you how many times my wife and I are out somewhere, we see a squirrel and go, Scott hates those squirrels.
I hate them. Squirrels are not to be trusted.
They are just rats with bigger, fluffier tails. Yeah.
Well, did you ever see what happens, like the world without people, like on Discovery Channel or on one of those channels? They had a thing called the world without people. The first animal that comes back out to reclaim the land after apex predator is gone are the fucking squirrels. They're just waiting. They're biding their time.
What is this show? Is this fiction?
No, there was a whole miniseries called The World Without People. It was like, what would happen as, if humans were wiped out, whether it be nuclear, whether it be disease, regardless, humans stop existing. What would happen to the world? And they say the squirrels would be one of the, like in New York City, I remember specifically, in New York City, the squirrels would leave Central Park to reclaim all the skyscrapers and the buildings, and they would basically go out and mass produce, and they would be the first animal to benefit from the apex predator no longer being around.
Here we go again with those they say. Who is they?
I don't know. I used to think like the Learning Channel and Discovery Channel were about, doctors. Now they're just about people that believe in aliens and shit like that.
Yeah.
The credibility of these channels has fallen greatly from when I was in high school.
That's the first question I find myself asking people when they give me a conspiracy theory. It's like, these are the things they don't want you to know. Which they? There's so many potential days.
Right.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Who's benefiting from us not knowing?
I like that you got beat on a Pictionary game by your kid.
Oh, all the time.
I like that a lot.
And a hedgehog? Like, who's guessing hedgehog?
Yeah, that's stupid.
Whatever.
Well, we're getting to about the time where we got to talk about a couple news items. You ready for this?
As ready as I'm ever going to be.
We've been talking a lot about sequels today. Have you heard about the new proposed Killer Clowns from Outer Space sequel?
I didn't hear about it. I know they've been marketing it so much with like Halloween decorations and theme park haunted houses, and I'm glad that it's still around and it's still alive and it has this cult following, but I don't want to see it get a sequel.
Whoop the goddamn to do.
Oh, see, I would love it. To me, this thing grew in fame as it got older.
Yeah.
Now we're clamoring for more. Like, now it's time. This is a perfect one to make a sequel for because people care and they want something good. And the reason this movie got so popular is because it's a fun movie with great special effects.
It is.
And it's like a perfect 80s movie that for some reason just didn't get on everybody's radar. It was on mine, but like I would tell people, like, I never heard of it. But somehow this movie just keeps going and going. They either did or are making a video game for it.
I heard about that.
Goes to show you.
Yeah.
And you said that you saw it at like, you saw Killer Clowns from Outer Space at like Spirit Halloween. That was you who told me that.
Spirit Halloween had
Did you
it.
just say that? Or
No, I did just say that. I think I shared it before back during Halloween season.
That's how good my memory is. I forget things you say
Seconds.
immediately. But that's my point. Like, it's growing to the point where that big company is like, hey, we'll invest in that IP and we'll try to make some money off that. That's crazy to me. Well, a potential sequel is in the works. So I heard about it. I heard they were going to try to make a movie, but they're doing something maybe a little different here. So director Steven Chiodo, one of the Chiodo brothers who made this movie, they were special effects gurus in the industry. They decided to make a movie, and this is what we got. So director Steven Chiodo has a great concept to continue the story in an 8-part miniseries for a streaming service. It would follow a new group of teenagers who encounter the killer clowns, as well as Mike Tobacco, a character from the original film who is now living drunk in his van. I want to see that. The miniseries would feature a big invasion and take viewers to the killer clown's home planet, showing things not seen before like clown animals. Plans had originally focused on a movie sequel trilogy titled Return of the Killer Clowns from Outer Space in 3D. That's funny.
Oh, damn.
Bringing back the original film's lead actor Grant Kramer as Mike Tobacco. However, plans had, and yeah, I want to see what he looks like. He looked kind of like middle-aged already in the movie. He was one of them guys that I'm like, you're probably 35, 40 playing a 20-year-old, aren't you? However, plans have now shifted to focus on a serialized format on television rather than the theatrical sequels. Talks were previously there's a word I can't say, previously, held by Sci-Fi Channel. So they were originally thinking about going on Sci-Fi. There is no current production timeline, but director Chiodo remains very confident that this thing is going to come back to life.
Yeah.
So to be able to go put that out there, you're either fishing to try to get people interested in it, or you already got enough people interested in it, and this franchise is coming back.
Well, it's interesting. I think the Sci-Fi Channel is where I was first introduced to Killer Clowns while I was in college. Like, Sci-Fi didn't have a vast library to be showing, so I feel like every night at 7 p.m. you were watching Killer Clowns from Outer Space, or every Sunday afternoon it was Killer Clowns. Okay, now that I hear the story, now that I hear that the original people, actors are involved, it's not just randos trying to cash in, I might be more on board for this. Who's your favorite clown? Did you have one?
I never bothered to learn their names.
Oh, I like Tiny. Tiny was my favorite. The big guy.
Yeah, I like the little guy. I thought you were going to say the little guy was Tiny.
Yeah.
I like the little guys wearing boxing gloves. Big old guy going, "What you going to do, clown? Knock my block off?" Little clown punches him in the chin, knocks his head clean off. Loved it. So stupid, so funny. Let's talk about that Twister sequel you didn't ask for, Scott, called Twisters.
That was real. I can't believe that.
That was real. So Glenn Powell is like this new up-and-coming actor. You've seen him. He was in Top Gun, that new Top Gun.
Okay.
Very good-looking guy. Kind of has a Gosling kind of look to him. You've seen him around. He's been in things. His name is growing. So Glenn Powell stars in the upcoming disaster movie Twisters from Warner Brothers, which is a new chapter to the Twister franchise. Powell clarifies that Twisters is definitely not a reboot or direct continuation of the original 1996 Twister film. What? How can it not be either?
Right.
It features completely new characters and an original storyline. Then how is that not a reboot?
Yeah.
Glenn notes the universal appeal of a humans versus weather concept that can connect with audiences globally. The film sees ordinary people battling cataclysmic natural disasters. Didn't we have enough of these?
I love how this is the exact same episode, how like 20 minutes ago you were like, yeah, I fucking hated The Day After Tomorrow, and I hated fucking Earthquake and Volcano, and like, yeah, this guy thinks it's universally loved, and you're like, I hate this shit.
Hate it. I hated Twister. This is Bill Paxton.
Yeah, Bill
the original
Paxton.
Twister. The original Twister, directed by John DeBont, and writer Michael Crichton, I didn't know that, are not involved. Minari director Lee Isaac Chung is helming the new movie. I never heard of the movie called Minari. Production was temporarily halted by strikes, but is resumed, keeping Twisters on track for its scheduled July 19, 2024 theatrical release. Helen Hunt had unsuccessfully pitched Warner Brothers an idea for a Twister sequel focused on a diverse crew of storm chasers at a black college. The studio showed little interest. Just a little thing to throw into the end of the article, I guess.
Damn. The only thing I really liked about Twister, Universal Studios took the Twister movie and they turned it into like their movie effects show that you can go at the theme park and you can like go see how they had like the giant wind turbine and like how they can make it rain indoors. And they had like all these really cool in a soundstage type effects you can go see. And that was like the coolest thing I ever saw about Twister.
It was one of those movies that it did well because we weren't used to the CGI yet.
Right.
We had just seen like Terminator 2, but now it's like, whoa, a tornado movie. That's crazy. Now we don't want a tornado movie. That's what you do when you first come out with CGI. You make tornado movies. 20, 30 years later, you move on from the basics.
You go to the movies to escape reality. And now a hurricane tornado movie with global warming, that's like everyday threatening life.
You think there's global warming? I haven't seen snow in about 20 years. How can you believe there's global warming? All right, let's get one more article here and then we'll get off.
Ooh.
Off the podcast, I mean.
Oh, okay.
There's a Variety article called Major Studios Hiring Female Filmmakers and People of Color. And they're talking about things like Barbie, right? That was directed by a woman. Cocaine Bear, that was directed by a woman. So a new study from USC Annenberg's Inclusion Initiative. Oh boy, that's a mouthful. Let me try that again. Annenberg's Inclusion Initiative finds that despite recent box office successes, I can't talk today, Scott. Oh, these words are getting harder. Despite recent box office successes for films directed by women like Barbie and Cocaine Bear, Female filmmakers are still not getting the same opportunities in Hollywood as men. The study shows only 12.1% of directors attached to the top 100 grossing films domestically in 2023 were women, a slight improvement from 9% in 2022. But there's been little meaningful progress since 2018. Only 3.4% of the top 100 films were directed by women of color. The percentage of underrepresented directors overall was also stagnant at 22.4%. I know you're a data guy, so you must be loving this.
I love stats. But what I want to know is, while that's the number of women versus men that are getting these top grossing films, I would like to know, what's the overall population of women to men? Like, what's the pool look like? Like, not who's getting jobs, but like, just, is that proportionate? Is that, and not proportionate to the public, proportionate to the people in the field? That's really the telling factor here. So as much as I'm a data guy, I'm only a data guy when the data is sourced right and I can draw my own conclusions from it, you know?
You don't get data anymore. I mean, this is like the softest data.
Right.
This is the cursory data points of about 1 million other data points, but yeah, you never get that.
Sure.
Nobody wants numbers.
Right. I get it.
Sometimes I wish people would just go, you know what? Not everything we read is fun. Sometimes you have to muddle through some of these things to like get the information that you all need to live in this society. Yeah. Anyway, so let me go back to this. The study argues major studios' pledges to improve diversity hiring after George Floyd's murder were performative without real change. Universal Pictures led studios in hiring women directors, while Warner Brothers topped studios for hiring directors from underrepresented racial ethnic backgrounds. But the report notes limitations in only analyzing top box office films versus indie movies or streaming content. So basically, in summary, it says here, while high-profile cases like Barbie point to progress, this study finds enduring disparities in major studios' hiring of both female directors and directors from underrepresented racial and ethnic minorities across top grossing film projects. Long story short, they said they'd do better and hire more. They didn't. They didn't quite do much at all.
Going back to what the overall pool looks like, this has been going on since movies. You know what I mean? This has been going on since film. This has been going on since forever. The idea that they were going to fix it or even make huge strides over the course of like the past 5 years, the story said, like, you're not going to fix a problem overnight. You know, like, you can certainly make steps towards change, but you're not going to undo years of injustice if you view it that way, or just the way it's been. You can't turn on a dime like that. And sometimes small steps towards change are what lead to bigger steps towards change, you know? But it'll get there, but it has to be organic. It can't be forced.
I like that. I think about this stuff a lot too, and I go, well, why is it this way? How did it get to be this way? Was it white boys club and we won't let anybody, because I'm a white boy, we won't let anybody else in? Or was it really just something that white boys seem to be more interested in for some reason?
Yeah.
So honestly, with a lot of the problems that I have with the MCU, because they brought in a lot of female producers and directors who didn't really do superhero movies before, we got some bad superhero movies. But that would happen with men too.
Sure.
I don't think a woman cannot direct a movie that mostly men like a superhero movie. But you got to focus on getting the right director, the right producer, before you worry about gender and race, if you can. But if we're already at this point where they're so underrepresented, I see both sides of it. It's like somebody's got to give opportunities because it's a walled garden. I see both sides of this.
Yeah.
It's tough.
I mean, this story very much reminds me and very much echoes a story we did a few weeks back where you shared that there was a study that showed that, you know, the idea that the lead in a movie being like a white, attractive, relatable male really doesn't indicate box office success the way that people thought it would. Like, minority characters in good movies had even better showings than, you know, the standard white, you know, 25 to 40 demographic people that you could relate to. Like that. Remember the story we were talking about before? This very much, I think, echoes that same thing. Like, it doesn't matter who the lead is so much as they're in a good role in a good story.
What do you think about the movie like Blue Beetle that just came out? I saw it. I hated it. It was another boring piece of crap for me. But they probably thought, hey, let's make this around a Hispanic family. We'll get a lot of Hispanic viewers. They're very family oriented. We'll get families in. And, you know, the movie bombed. And I don't know, honestly, a white guy who saw it. You know, so
Yeah.
it's like, did they make that for everybody, but was trying to give a little bit more of a nudge for underrepresented, communities? Or were they making that for an underrepresented community and white people just go, it's not my world. I don't know it, so I'm not going to go. Like, that's probably it.
I can't say that it was a racial thing or if that decision was based on race, but I feel that the idea of Blue Beetle becoming its own movie in any way, shape, or form was more so DC looking at what Marvel did with, as I mentioned last week, the Ant-Mans and the Guardians of the Galaxy and these D-list superhero comic books that most people don't even know about. And they were just trying to copy what Marvel did with the Blue Beetle. And then with the whole shakeup with Gunn and Safran coming in and the axing of the rest of the DCU, and then their announcement that new DCU is being launched by some fucking animated dog series or something. Like, the DCU was too fucked up to have any success, and maybe they put together this whole pandering thing for maybe getting the Hispanic viewer. I don't know.
I'm a big fan of, I want my entertainment to just entertain. I don't want too much of a message, but I don't mind, seeing lots of different people. I just don't want politics in my movies. Didn't I say that once before?
You did once or twice. But again, I feel like it's what they're giving us is forced and not organic. And it comes off as cheap. You know what I mean? It comes across as manipulative.
There you go. Forced and not organic. Comes across as manipulative. That's what I've been trying to get to. And that's why I don't like it.
Yeah.
And it's like, they want me to pay money for that. Well, I want to pay money for great stories like I used to get.
And I'll also say, and I've said this from day one, a superhero movie is only as good as the supervillain. And I don't think Blue Beetle provided in that.
If you ever saw the movie The Guyver?
Yeah.
With Mark Hamill? Yeah. Wasn't this The Guyver?
Yeah. Yes, it was.
So did we even need this? Did we need an update of The Guyver? I don't think so. No. And I'm sitting here at home with a pen and paper waiting to be called to write some scripts. But they hire somebody who steals The Guyver. I won't steal The Guyver.
What are you going to steal?
I'll rip off something that nobody else saw. I'll be a little bit wiser.
Okay. All right.
I'll rip off Nuki.
There you go.
Or Wang Wang.
Yeah, it's been done. I feel like those were both rip-offs of something else already. Everything's derivative, but the creatives can make something derivative something new. And non-creatives struggle.
Well, that's enough ranting. Don't you agree? Are we done? I think we should be done.
I think that's the end of the show. We have enough show here to make a show. That resembles a show, right?
Show-ish.
Yeah.
We did it.
We'll edit it. We'll ship it. Maybe people will listen.
And remember, you tell a friend, we'll get more listeners. Lately, we think you've been telling friends not to listen. But hey, it's the holidays. Maybe that's the reason we didn't get as many downloads this last week.
Yeah. So thanks everybody for listening. Again, tell a friend. Always enjoy the free publicity. We want to grow this thing a little bit bigger. Thanks for the people you brought on board already. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.